51551 RayRT.ie.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1.
Or you can text us on this Friday afternoon at 51551. Now, last night in South Carolina, in the United States of America, a young Irish student managed to get a rare interview with former American Vice President Joe Biden. You'll probably know this if you're following American politics. Joe Biden is on the campaign trail and he's currently the frontrunner in the race to become the Democratic Party's candidate to take on Donald Trump next year. Fergus O'Rourke is the Irishman who chatted to him last night and he's on the line. Afternoon, Fergus. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever.
Hello, Ray.
How are you?
It's the afternoon. I suppose it's early afternoon here, late morning kind of thing.
Okay.
To say it's an interview, you're generous to call it an interview. I was kind of hustling and I was picking at scraps, you know.
Right.
But yeah, no, I managed to meet the man last night, just about.
Well, let's get a bit of background first. So you're studying in Alabama. Now, I'm not an expert on American geography, but there's a fair old distance between Alabama and South Carolina.
There is indeed. So I drove 500 miles on Wednesday night to get from Mobile, Alabama, which is on the Gulf Coast, up northeast to Greenwood, South Carolina. And the thing, I have a connection to Greenwood because I studied here for the last 2 years.
Okay.
So I received an email the other day telling me that Joe Biden was coming to town, and I just thought, geez, I can't miss this, you know.
Because
and the fact that it is go on.
You're studying journalism. We better get that out there as well.
Well, I'm studying politics and philosophy. I'm kind of faffing around, to be honest with you, but I call myself a journalist. I might like to be a journalist. I don't know how I'd like to do that. I think I would like to interview people first and foremost, as opposed to trying to kind of write things. I like talking to people face to face, if that's possible, or over the phone. I just love talking to people.
Okay, so you drove 500 miles to get a face-to-face chat with Joe Biden. So how did that go?
How did the chat go last night? Yeah. Well, so it wasn't a chat. He was kind of being mobbed by the crowd, and he was walking through two sides of people, and everyone was trying to get at him, trying to hug him and kiss him and everything. So I shouted, Joe. I said, welcome to Greenwood. I'm Irish. And I must say that Katrina Perry told me to say that I was Irish because that's the connection there. And he claims his Irish heritage and all that kind of thing. And I asked him about the peace process in Northern Ireland. He didn't like the fact that I was shoving the phone into his face because I was kind of posing as a supporter when in reality I was trying to get at him in a kind of a journalistic capacity. So I was kind of hiding, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And these guys they're very carefully managed, Ray. As you can imagine, it's very protective. So if you have a press pass, you're actually probably less likely to get a chance to talk to him. You're better off acting like a supporter and posing for a selfie or whatever.
Like you did, yes.
I didn't get the selfie. I hate selfies, but that kind of thing. I was one of them, yeah.
No, but you posed as a supporter. Let's hear
exactly,
the little interaction between you and Joe Biden. Yeah.
Vice President, welcome to Greenwood. I'm from Ireland.
Oh, where?
From Dublin. You're from Louth, I believe.
That's right.
Listen, how will you protect the peace process in Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement? I know you care about my country, and I care about yours.
A great deal about it. And we made it clear to the Brits that we do not, in fact, support breaking down what's happened now. We don't want to guard a border again. We don't want to do it. All we can do is put pressure, and that's the pressure I'm going to keep.
Appreciate it, Vice President. Thank you.
So then he realised you were recording it and was a little bit annoyed.
Basically, yeah. And understandably so. I don't blame him, you know. But I'm definitely glad I did it. And I wouldn't be talking to you if I hadn't.
That's true. That's true.
It's all very well to say, "Oh, I met Joe Biden," but I have it on record now, and no, it's just kind of cool, you know. Now
we better reveal that you're Sean O'Rourke's son.
Yeah, that's worth pointing out. And
that's right.
And I was saying I actually, as a journalist, I pose as Fergus James Murphy. That's kind of my pen name because I don't want that connection to instantly be made. And my mum's last name is Murphy.
Yes.
And she's a very competent journalist as well. And some would say she's actually a better broadcaster than my dad. Eamon Dunphy told me that, actually, funnily enough. But I must say that I heard someone tell me that a famous writer said, when I was 14, my father was a fool. And when I was 21, I couldn't believe how much he had learned in 7 years. And of course, the point is, the point is that your dad didn't learn anything, but you just realise, as you grow older, you realise the wisdom that your father or mother have. Yeah. And that's certainly been the case for me. Like, as I've got older, I've appreciated what they do and admired it in a way that you don't really value that when you're a teenager, and you don't get it. But I've just seen what they've been doing, and it's no joke, you know. Like, no. It's hard work, and they make me aware of that. Like, they're not telling me, "Oh, good man, just do whatever you want." It's kind of like, if you're going to do this, you'd better bloody do it right. Yeah. And I'm really, really glad that they pushed that, you know.
There's a bit of symmetry, which I'd imagine hasn't been lost on you, Fergus, in that you annoyed Joe Biden, who could be a presidential candidate, and your dad back in 2014, when Donald Trump was here as a businessman, not yet a presidential candidate, he annoyed him by quizzing him about his hair.
I know, it's bizarre. It's absolutely mad. I actually remember seeing that magazine thing. It's in the Sunday Independent.
Yes.
Sean O'Rourke is an asshole. I'll never forget it. And it was a Saturday night. Me and my mum used to go on a Saturday night to get the papers from a little newsagent in Dunleary, like the next morning's papers, you know?
Yeah.
And then so Dad didn't know anything about this. And I remember ringing him and I was kind of laughing about it. But it was quite serious for a short period. It was quite an attack. But in reality, it was only, like, Donald Trump doesn't take anything that he says seriously. He just kind of spouts anything, and Dad has kind of made a joke out of it. And
yes, we know that now.
He's seen the light side of it, you know.
Yes,
he's seen the funny aspect.
And of course, it may be a good omen for Joe Biden. He doesn't know this, but so a member of the O'Rourke family upset Donald Trump. He went on to be president, and maybe a second member of the O'Rourke family will upset Joe Biden. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I must say, I like Joe Biden as a person. He seems like a good guy, but I don't know that he has the energy and the charisma to last the whole campaign. Like, this thing is bruising. And last night, he did fine, but he didn't inspire. I don't think he inspired people. Now, if he can hang on to the name recognition he has and not mess up hugely, maybe he can do it. But I just think you need something special to win this election, and it mightn't be.
Of course,
I don't know. These guys are tough, you know, and I don't know, can he do it?
He has to get the Democratic nomination first. That's the first hurdle he has to get over.
Exactly, and that's no joke as well. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of really strong candidates in there, and I hope he can do it, maybe, but maybe he won't. Who knows?
Now, so we'll be recognising your name in the future. Will you be going as Fergus O'Rourke or Fergus? What's your pseudonym?
Fergus James Murphy. So
Fergus
if you look
James
me
Murphy
up on YouTube,
okay.
If you go on YouTube or SoundCloud, Fergus James Murphy. I don't know, right? Let's see. But maybe Murphy, though. I kind of like that. It was my granddad's name. Fergus Murphy,
and your mum's name,
and an uncle as well.
Yeah,
and my mum's name, of course.
Great talking to you, Fergus. Mind yourself.
Thanks, Ray. Good luck.
Bye.
The Ray D'Arcy